Learning to recognize the Asian longhorned beetle. What is the Asian longhorned beetle? The Asian longhorned beetle, or ALB, is an introduced pest native to Asia. Its scientific name is Anoplophora glabripennis, and it is in the longhorned beetle family, the Cerambycidae. The scientific name of the beetle, glabripennis, comes from glabrous, meaning shiny, and pennis, meaning wings, a reference to the beetle's shiny black wing covers. The Asian longhorned beetle attacks hardwood trees by boring through the wood. Tens of thousands of trees have been lost in Massachusetts, mostly in the greater Worcester area. Once a tree is infested with ALB, there is no cure. It will die. ALB has no natural predators or other biological controls that will prevent its spread. Infested trees must be cut down and destroyed to prevent the infestation from spreading. How does ALB affect you? On a local level, such as in your backyard, loss of trees has a very real impact. Losing the shade that trees provide leads to an increase in energy usage and costs. A study done in the most severely affected areas in Worcester showed a 37% increase in summertime energy usage for cooling. Trees also provide a noise barrier as well as habitat for wildlife. Animals such as squirrels, displaced from trees lost, may become a nuisance as they enter homes and other structures. On a regional level, hardwood trees are equally valuable. They draw leaf-peeping tourists with their beautiful fall foliage. We would lose the revenue that brings if our hardwood trees were lost. The maple sugaring industry is very concerned with ALB, since maple trees are the preferred host of this pest. Their loss would impact this industry greatly. Think of a park, historical home, or school near you. If most of the trees were gone, it would change the character of that area. The timber and nursery industries also rely on trees for their very existence. Loss of trees results in a loss of quality of life for everyone. Before and after. This is what you do not want to happen in your area. All of the street trees that had to be removed here were maples. ALB does not attack conifers, which is why you still see the evergreen trees in the background. It doesn't take long to cut down and chip up a tree using a large crane, chainsaw, and chipper. All the trees on this street could have been cut down and chipped in one day. Imagine leaving in the morning to the picture on the left and returning in the evening to your street looking like the picture on the right. Now imagine it's a 90-degree summer day and all the trees are leafed out. Which street would you rather walk down? The value of trees. Trees not only have aesthetic and recreational value, but they also provide ecosystem services that can be quantified. For example, one 45-inch diameter sugar maple will, every year, sequester 810 pounds of carbon and prevent another 630 pounds from ever being emitted, helping to mitigate climate change. This tree increases the value of the property it's on by about $55. It will also save the homeowner almost $200 in electricity, natural gas, and stormwater costs. Knowledge check, multiple choice. What must be done to trees that are infested with Asian longhorned beetle? A. They must be monitored. B. They must be cut down. C. Nothing. The tree will die eventually anyway. D. Biological controls may be used. The correct answer is B. They must be cut down. Although the tree will die eventually, it must be cut down to prevent the number of beetles from increasing. Knowledge check, multiple choice. Which of the following is not an impact of tree loss? A. Loss of wildlife habitat. B. Decrease in noise. C. Loss of shade. D. Losses to the maple syrup industry. The correct answer is B. Decrease in noise. Trees provide a noise barrier, thus noise levels increase due to tree loss. How did the Asian longhorned beetle get here? Asian longhorned beetle originated in Asia. If infested wood is used to manufacture solid wood packing material, such as pallets, crates, and spools, larvae may be present in this material when it is shipped to the U.S. Solid wood packing material, or SWPM. Since 1998, regulations have been in place to prevent the transfer of ALB and other wood-boring pests through the movement of solid wood packing material. Look for the IPPC, or International Plant Protection Convention, stamp to indicate that solid wood packing material has been treated. Pallets must be fumigated or heat treated before shipping. This helps slow the introduction of new pests, but as we cannot inspect all material coming into the country, it is still important for everyone to be on the lookout for invasive pests from this source. ALB infestations in North America. The yellow areas on this map depict our maple forests. If we were to do nothing and Asian longhorn beetle was allowed to spread, we could lose that entire forest. It would be an environmental and economic catastrophe. The first detection of ALB in the United States was in New York in August 1996. All original U.S. detections were due to discovery by private citizens, not formal government surveys. Thus, public awareness and involvement are crucial to early detection and eradication. The infestation in Chicago, Illinois was discovered in 1998 and was declared eradicated in 2008 after 10 years of effort. The Worcester infestation is significantly larger and will take longer to eradicate, but the success of Chicago, along with eradication in New Jersey and in Canada in early 2013, proves that it can be done. The Worcester infestation was first discovered in August of 2008 and has led to the removal of more than 36,000 trees. It was followed by the discovery of a much smaller infestation in Boston in 2010, with the removal of only 6 trees. The Boston infestation was declared eradicated in 2014. Now that ALB is here, how can it spread? ALB is a big, heavy beetle, and it requires a large amount of energy to fly. It is capable of flying up to a mile, but will stay on the host tree and continue to reproduce there until the tree dies or becomes saturated and can support no more beetles, or until it is disturbed by humans. Instead, infestations spread through beetles hitchhiking in or on wood, including firewood, wood removed from tree work, and wood removed from cleanup after storms. It is much more likely that the beetle will spread due to human movement of wood than due to natural geographic expansion of its population. This is why it is so important to spread the "Don't Move Firewood" message. It is also why every area of our state is at risk, not just areas adjacent to known infestations. Consider the amount of wood that could have been moved around the state from what is now the regulated area before the discovery of the infestation. People could have taken it camping, to vacation homes, etc. Thus, we all need to be diligent in checking trees for signs of infestation. Asian Longhorned Beetle identification. The Asian longhorn beetle has 5 main identifying characteristics. It is shiny black, like a bowling ball or patent leather. It has bright white spots. It's called the starry sky beetle in China. The black and white banded antennae are at least as long as the beetle's body. The female has a larger body, and her antennae are as long as the body. The male has a smaller body, but his antennae are longer, up to 1.5 times the length of the body. It has blue feet when alive, but the color fades on dead beetles and preserved specimens. The last identifying factor is size. ALB can be between 3/4 of an inch and 1.5 inches long, not counting the antennae. ALB life cycle. Adult Asian longhorned beetles emerge from trees in midsummer, typically July. You can see them until frost occurs. Most damage occurs inside the tree where the larvae are feeding, though adults will do some damage to leaves. A female beetle will chew an egg-laying site or oviposition pit into the bark of the tree down to the cambium layer. She will lay 1 egg per pit and 45 to 90 eggs over the course of the season. In 10 to 14 days, the egg hatches and a small white worm-like larva appears. The larva grows and progresses through several stages called instars. The larva overwinters in the tree, continuing to chew through to the heartwood. This is the time of year when the most damage is occurring, though it is not visible and you will not see any adult beetles. In about a year, the larva transforms into a pupa and in about 2 weeks emerges as an adult. Egg laying. A female can lay approximately 45 to 90 eggs in a season. In this photo, the beetles are not mating, but rather the male is mate guarding, standing over the female to prevent other males from mating with her. It takes a female up to an hour or more to chew an egg pit, depending on the thickness of the bark. ALB oviposition pits. What to look for. Oviposition pits, or egg-laying sites, are divots in the bark about a ½ inch wide. They will have scratches or mandible marks around the edges from the chewing of the female beetle. Oviposition pits may also be seen weeping or oozing sap when they are still fresh. This is because the female is digging into the living cambium layer of the tree. While newly created egg sites will be a different color from the rest of the tree, over time the color fades, making them difficult to spot. They can also change shape as the tree grows. Larval stage. Larvae overwinter in the heartwood, boring deeper into the tree as the season progresses. They may slow down, but do not hibernate. As larvae consume the wood, they create a tunnel that fills with their frass, fecal material that looks like long, stringy pieces of wood. Eventually, the larva will change directions, tunneling back towards the bark. It then forms a pupa, from which it will emerge in its adult form after about 2 weeks. ALB exit holes. What to look for. Exit holes, made by the adult beetles when they bore out of the tree, are perfectly round, smooth on the edges, and 3/8 to 1/2 inch in diameter. A pencil can be inserted into an exit hole to test for ALB. If the eraser end of the pencil fits in the hole and goes straight back at least 1 inch, consult a professional to check for further signs of ALB. If the pencil goes in at an angle, does not fit in the hole, or only goes in a short distance, it is likely that something else made the hole, because many things make holes in trees, including other insects. Large holes much bigger than a pencil diameter are also not caused by ALB. For safety reasons, please do not climb the trees to reach the hole for the pencil test. Note that holes left by ALB are typically spread randomly throughout the tree and will not be in a line or any sort of pattern. In those cases, damage may be due to something else such as woodpeckers. Note that adults never go back into these holes. They are only created when the adults exit the tree. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. What are 3 main identifying characteristics of Asian longhorned beetles? A. Mottled brown, long brown and white antennae, and yellow spots. B. Mottled black with 1 white spot on the back of the neck and long black and white banded antennae. C. Shiny black with blue feet and short black antennae. D. Shiny black with bright white spots, long black and white banded antennae, and blue feet. The correct answer is D. Shiny black with bright white spots, long black and white banded antennae, and blue feet. This is ALB. Although the color fades on preserved specimens, when still alive, ALB has blue feet. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. When should you expect to see adult Asian longhorned beetles? A. Midsummer through the first frost. B. Year-round. C. In the fall and winter. D. Only during the summer. The correct answer is A. Midsummer through the first frost. Emergence occurs in midsummer, typically July, but ALB dies off with the first frost. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. During which part of its life cycle is ALB doing the most damage? A. Adult. B. Pupa. C. Larva. Or D. Egg. The correct answer is C. Larva. Larvae are active all winter, chewing through the heartwood. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. What shape is an ALB exit hole? A. D-shaped. B. Oval. C. Irregular. Or D. Round. The correct answer is D. Round. ALB exit holes are perfectly round, about 3/8 to 1/2 inch in diameter. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. How is an ALB infestation most likely to spread once the beetle has been introduced to an area? A. Natural expansion of the population. B. Introduction of solid wood packing material to previously uninfested area. C. Movement of wood by people. D. Beetles may be on cars driven from an infested to an uninfested area. The correct answer is C. Movement of wood by people. The main way that an ALB infestation can be spread is movement of wood for use as firewood or after yard work or storm cleanup. ALB host trees. All of the trees on this list are considered host trees. They are maple, horse chestnut, elm, willow, birch, sycamore and plane tree, mountain ash, ash, poplar and cottonwood, mimosa, katsura, golden rain tree. Maple is the most preferred host of ALB. Horse chestnut, elm, willow, and birch are preferred to other hardwoods. It is encouraged that you be able to identify host trees during all seasons. Tree guides with illustrations of the various host trees are available from the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources or for download at www.massnrc.org/pests/alb/albmedia.htm. These are not ALB host trees. ALB does not attack softwood trees, also known as conifers or evergreens, such as pine, fir, and spruce. Oak is not a host. Fruit trees such as cherry or crabapple are also not hosts. ALB may lay eggs in non-host hardwoods in a heavily infested area, but the larvae are unable to complete their life cycle. It is encouraged to know how to identify common non-host species such as oak, pine, and cherry. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. What is ALB's most preferred host tree? A. Birch. B. Maple. C. Ash. Or D. Willow. The correct answer is B. Maple. Maple is the preferred host for Asian longhorned beetle. Is it ALB or not? Factors to consider. The next set of slides is a quiz. Test your knowledge to see if you can distinguish Asian longhorned beetle from similar species and look-alike tree damage. Here are some factors you may want to consider. ALB is not the only thing that makes holes in trees. Its holes do not follow any pattern. ALB is one of a very few types of beetle that only feeds on live trees, not dead wood. Dead trees may have many holes in them from other wood-boring insects, birds, etc. ALB takes several years to kill a tree. The damage is structural since larvae do not eat away the cambium layer in its entirety, a process known as girdling. Even highly infested trees in Worcester still had plenty of green leaves with some healthy-looking branches, as in this photo. Poor tree health alone does not indicate the presence of Asian Longhorned Beetle, but is a good reason to inspect your trees in general. The larvae of ALB look very similar to the larvae of the over 200 species of native longhorned beetle in Massachusetts. Often, the identification of longhorned beetle larvae needs to be determined in a laboratory. Knowledge check, ALB, or look-alike. The correct answer is look-alike. This damage is caused by yellow-bellied sapsucker, a type of woodpecker. Note that the holes are all in a row. The bark has split on either side. ALB exit holes do not follow a pattern, but you may see bark splits caused by early larval damage. Woodpecker holes tend to decrease in diameter as they get deeper, where ALB stays the same consistent diameter. Knowledge check, ALB damage, or look-alike. The correct answer is look-alike. This tree may pass the pencil test, but there are other factors to consider. Many things make holes in trees, and ALB does not attack dead wood. We also know that ALB did not kill this tree as it has only a handful of holes. Recall the hundreds of exit holes on the infested tree shown in the review slide. Despite the damage, the tree still leafed out and appeared otherwise healthy. Knowledge check, ALB damage, or look-alike. Yes, this is ALB. Look at the leaves. This is a maple tree. You can see 2 exit holes and at least 1 egg-laying site. Also, the bark has split due to larval tunneling underneath it. Note the new growth from below the area of damage. These are called epicormic shoots. If the cambium layer is disturbed, the tree will grow new shoots to produce nutrients to bring to the area below the damage. Knowledge check, ALB damage, or look-alike. The correct answer is ALB. This is an egg-laying site, also called an oviposition pit. It is about a ½ inch wide, and you can see the mandible marks along the edges. This distinguishes it from other types of damage, such as that from squirrels. Eggs are about 3 to 4 millimeters long, look similar to a grain of rice, and are laid under the bark of the tree. Knowledge check, ALB, or look-alike. The correct answer is look-alike. This is an eyed click beetle. It has shorter antennae and 2 large black spots. Knowledge check, ALB, or look-alike. The correct answer is look-alike. This is a broad-necked root borer. It has no white spots or blue feet, and the shorter antennae are all black. Knowledge check, ALB, or look-alike. The correct answer is ALB. Clearly, this was a case of smush first and ask questions later. Even with just half a beetle, you can still tell this is ALB by the shiny black wing covers with white spots and the blue feet. We strongly prefer whole specimens whenever possible. If you can get close enough to step on it, then you can get close enough to capture it. If you can't capture the beetle or take a photo, be sure to report it anyway. Someone from the ALB eradication program will follow up with you to get more details. Knowledge check, ALB, or look-alike. The correct answer is look-alike. This is the western conifer seed bug. Some people call it a stink bug because it can emit an odor when crushed. Note the geometric pattern on the back and the flared out back legs. Many people will report these in the winter as they are a home invader and can be seen long after ALB emergence ends. Knowledge check. ALB or look-alike. The correct answer is look-alike. This is the white-spotted pine sawyer, a native wood-boring beetle. The distinguishing characteristic is the one white spot on the scutellum, or back of the neck. Also, its wing covers are rough, not smooth, and more mottled-looking than ALB. White-spotted sawyers emerge much earlier than ALB. In a mild winter, sawyers may emerge as soon as late April, resulting in calls from people concerned they're seeing ALB. Populations usually peak around Memorial Day weekend. This beetle is not considered harmful to the environment as it bores through and helps decompose fallen pines. The eradication process. In order to fully eradicate ALB, several steps must be taken. Delimitation of infestation is the beginning of eradication. The ALB eradication program conducts tree surveys to find infested trees for removal. Ground and climbing surveys are conducted in order to determine the extent of the infestation and to define or delimit the regulated area, the zone from which host material may not be removed. Prompt response to reports is another component of eradication. The eradication program staff, or MDAR staff, will promptly follow up to any report filed by phone or online. Removal and stump grinding of infested trees are an integral part of eradication. All infested trees must be cut down. Stumps are ground to 8 inches below ground level to prevent reinfestation. Additionally, disposal must occur within the regulated area. Since host material is not allowed to be removed from the regulated area, contractors must bring it to a program-approved chipping facility inside the regulated area. Annual compliance training for industry is required in order to prevent the unintended spread of ALB. Anyone working on trees within the regulated area must attend compliance training. While similar to this online PACE training, additional regulatory aspects of the eradication program are covered, and attending compliance training is required in order to receive certification that includes a truck decal and listing on the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources website, which can be found at the end of this presentation. All of these are concurrent, ongoing processes. Finally, after delimitation, further survey is required after removal before eradication can be declared. The eradication program will continue to survey until the infestation is fully identified and all infested trees are removed. The Massachusetts Asian Longhorned Beetle Cooperative Eradication Program. The infestation in Worcester led to the development of the Massachusetts ALB Cooperative Eradication Program. Several agencies work together towards eradication. The USDA and DCR monitor the regulated area, survey, and remove trees. The DCR is in charge of replanting and works with cities and towns along with the Worcester Tree Initiative to complete this task. The Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources handles outreach coordination. Other local, state, and federal agencies are typically involved, including the U.S. Forest Service, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, and local governments of impacted towns or cities, including conservation commissions if wetlands are present. The public, especially those who spend a great deal of time outdoors, are also very important to the eradication effort. Most discoveries of infested trees have been made by the general public. A local resident discovered the Worcester infestation. She saw the beetle and looked up images online until she came across one that matched, and found the phone number to call. 3 expansions of the regulated area occurred because of reports made by municipal employees who were aware of the infestation and knew what to look for. ALB in Worcester. The Worcester infestation was discovered in 2008 and was established around 10 years earlier. As of early 2013, surveys of the infested area have led to designation of a 110 square mile regulated area. The boundary of the regulated area is based on the actual locations of infested trees, not on findings of beetles. The regulated area includes Worcester, West Boylston, Shrewsbury, part of Holden, and a small section of Auburn. For a current map of the regulated area, visit www.asianlonghornedbeetle.com. If an infested tree is found, a quarantine zone or regulated area is set for a 1.5 mile radius around that tree. This is farther than the beetle can fly on its own. Host material may not be removed from the regulated area. The regulated area is set not just based on infested trees, but also must take into mind geographical and political boundaries so that the area can be easily defined. The regulated area can expand if further infestations are found near its borders. This doesn't mean the infestation itself is expanding, just that newly discovered trees were detected by surveyors. Millions of trees have been surveyed so far, and this is just the first delimitation survey meant to define the boundaries of the regulated area. Further survey will be required before eradication can be declared. ALB in Worcester. As of early 2018, more than 36,000 trees have been removed. Here you can see the type of crane used to remove whole trees and the chipper used to grind the wood. All host material that is cut must be chipped within the regulated area. If it cannot be chipped on site, material must be brought to a facility in Worcester by a contractor. A large double grind chipper is used. All contractors must be certified under current compliance agreements. Wood must be chipped or shredded to a size of less than 1 inch in each of 2 dimensions. At that point, the chips are deregulated and may be moved, since the forces within the chipper are strong enough to crush anything that might be alive. If an egg or larva somehow made it through the chipping process intact, the piece of wood it was in would be too small for it to complete its life cycle, since larvae do not crawl to new wood pieces or new trees. Larvae require intact wood and an environment of constant high humidity to survive. Exposure to less ideal conditions through the turning or spreading of wood chips in a mulch pile would cause them to dry out and die. Deregulated wood chips are often sold, with the proceeds being used to fund the purchase of additional trees for replanting. In the past, chips have been sold as mulch and for burning to generate electricity. Tree replanting. The Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation and USDA planted trees in the areas where removals had occurred. They worked with the affected cities and towns, as well as the Worcester Tree Initiative, a nonprofit organization dedicated to replanting and educating the public about proper tree care. Trees were replanted in the spring and fall and concluded around the first week of November. More than 30,000 non-host trees have been replanted since the start of the program. Replanting is now done solely by non-profit organizations in the area. Knowledge check. Multiple choice. What are 3 steps to eradication? A. Delimitation survey, removal of infested trees, and continued survey. B. Annual compliance training, stump removal, and monitoring infested trees. C. Continued survey, monitoring infested trees, and replanting with non-host tree species. D. Educational outreach, compliance training for industry workers, and kiln drying infested wood. The correct answer is A. delimitation survey, removal of infested trees, and continued survey. ALB in Boston. In the summer of 2010, a small ALB infestation was discovered in Boston by a groundskeeper at Faulkner Hospital. Again, this illustrates the vital impact that an informed public can have on the eradication effort. 6 infested trees were discovered and removed. Tens of thousands of others have been surveyed, with no further sign of infestation being discovered. The infestation was discovered and the trees removed within a week of the beginning of emergence season. Adult beetles were in the process of boring out of the trees when they were cut. This infestation is thought to have been only 2 to 3 years old at the time of discovery. The trees were too old for the infestation to have occurred before they were planted at the hospital. However, out of an abundance of caution, the nursery they originated from was checked, with no signs of ALB found. It is uncertain how this infestation came to Boston. Because of its early discovery, the Boston infestation, with its loss of only 6 trees, has been far less devastating than the Worcester one, which is thought to have been more than a decade old when discovered. Officials designated a 10 square mile regulated area in a 1.5 mile radius around the infestation. The regulated area included parts of Boston and Brookline. Note that Faulkner Hospital, the site of the infestation, is directly across the street from the Arnold Arboretum. Thankfully, no signs of infestation have been found there. Boston was declared eradicated on May 12, 2014. Checking trees for ALB. If you would like to host or conduct your own tree survey, here are some tips. It is helpful to have some tools if you plan to survey. These include binoculars, flagging tape to mark trees, and a GPS if you have one. If you don't, you can use Google Maps or draw a map to keep track of your survey and findings. Bring a camera to photograph beetles or any suspicious tree damage. If you are surveying when adult beetles are active in the summer or early fall, bring a collection jar. Use a pencil to test possible exit holes if they can be safely reached. Some helpful hints. It is easier to survey in winter or in early spring than in summer, as there are no leaves in the way. Surveying on a sunny day around noon is best. Even the professionals do not survey if it is raining, since it is impossible to spot damage on a wet tree. Exit holes are the easiest sign of ALB damage to spot, but do report anything suspicious, such as egg-laying sites or frass, too. While you can organize a survey by itself, it can also be done in conjunction with other activities, such as hiking. Be aware and on the lookout for signs of infestation whenever you spend time outside. Report ALB and other suspicious pests. Get a specimen or photo if you can. Preserve specimens in a container in the freezer or in a jar with rubbing alcohol. Report online at www.asianlonghornedbeetle.com or massnrc.org/pests/ALB or call 1-866-702-9938. Get the latest ALB info. In addition to AsianLonghornedBeetle.com, you can get more information, request materials, and even download a copy of this presentation at massnrc.org/pests/ALB. We are also on Twitter. Spread the word, not the beetle. Everyone can help stop ALB. Here are some things you can do. Keep an ALB ID card with you. Survey the trees in your yard, neighborhood, or favorite park. Organize a talk or survey for your neighbors, colleagues, or local environmental group. Remember to report it. What else can park and campground employees do? Post signage about not moving firewood and explain to visitors why it is important to buy it where you'll burn it. Confiscate any firewood brought into your park or campground and burn within 24 hours. Direct campers to your camp store to purchase kiln-dried wood there. Have literature on invasive species readily available for park visitors. Know how to ID host trees and how to educate guests. Know how to report any suspicious damage or insects. Park and campground employees should take an active role in distributing information and in identifying suspicious insects and tree damage. Take it one step further. If you work at a park or campground, you could also present a program for park visitors about ALB. See the program development form and find other resources online at massnrc.org or contact the ALB Outreach Coordinator at joshua.bruckner@state.ma.us or 617-626-1764 for more educational outreach. See asianlonghornedbeetle.com for more information. Credits. Funding for this project was provided in part by the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR. Production of this e-learning course was provided by EEA's Learning and Workforce Development Team, LDR. Special thanks to the following people at the Massachusetts ALB Cooperative Eradication Program for their assistance in developing this training. Felicia Andre, DCR ALB Ground Operations Supervisor. Joshua Bruckner, MDAR ALB Outreach Coordinator. Mary Cardwell, DCR Program Coordinator. Jennifer Foreman-Orth, MDAR State Survey Coordinator. Stacy Kilb, previous MDAR ALB Outreach Coordinator. Patricia Sharp, Plant Protection and Quarantine Office.